Hello guys, this is Adabby Live here with another tutorial on how to use Spectrum to bump up a little bit of sound in your tracks. But this is just only for reference use, what you're gonna send out into a mastering house. This is actually in the mastering channel right here, in the master channel. I did a video about pre-mastering, and this is something totally opposite, but you can use it as well as a good technique to get out your sound much better. I actually use Spectrum to analyze where my frequencies are in between. So what I do, I put it in at the end of the limiter, where it's actually cutting out some of the sound, but you can actually put it before the limiter. And I'm going to use a preset called Accurate and Fast. Take off the bin and play the sound. This is before it's going to head out to the limiter. I don't actually recommend this to send it out using these effects to send out to your, don't have it activated in your master channel if you're going to send it out to a mastering house, because they actually want a raw sound of each instrument that you have located here. And the way to do that is for you to have a reference if you want to send them a reference, because they actually want sometimes a reference of your track, of what you're looking for. But most of the time these people, they already know what you want because of the way you have your sound. They actually will, figure it out, but they actually want sometimes a reference of your sound. In my grand piano sound, it's a little bit down. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bump it up, which actually you see 100 hertz, 1K and 10K. If I was to take this, copy, and drag it into my channel where I have the piano sound, which is this, I can get a reference where I'm putting that sound in, which is in the 10 kilohertz all the way ranging into right about 399 hertz on G3, which you have the reference coming up over here and how many decibel it is. If you peak it up right here, this is minus 24 dBs. This is the last peak I had, minus 32 dBs. But this is the overall sound of the track. So I like for this not to peak out in red, so I bring down the decibel level around 7. Bring up the limiter until I see -6 around here on the limitation right here, on this little bar popping up. And actually I put the multiband right between here. My drums are a little bit high on the hats and snap, so I bring that down. I like to throw in the utility into the mix to widen up the stereo sound. bring up the gain. You can see how every time you hit a snap, tick, tick, it goes up. See? This is just the kick and the hat going on in the snap. Here's the percussive. See how the percussive it moves around here between your 1 kilohertz and your 200 hertz, which is the same pattern that you have here as your EQ8. So you actually have to use this in combination with the EQ8, because what the EQ8 does is you're actually adding and subtracting some of the sounds. You're like bumping up one sound but taking away another. You can actually even contain both sound at the same time. What you don't want is to do is you want to use the spectrum is so the sound won't conflict on certain frequency. Let's say with the bass. See, the bass is around here. From the 200 hertz, it actually goes in more around the 100 hertz, G1. This is the kick, and as you can see, here was the last frequency from the bass, which is much more higher around here, as you can see, look. And now I'm using the reference of the last sound, which was actually my drum. So basically it's not conflicting because it's in the minus 36 dBs compared to this. See? Minus 60 dBs. So basically, I'm not conflicting. This line, these lines show you how many decibels you're going. As a matter of fact, you just place it on top, you can get a good reference. Here's the minus 48 dBs. So if I go here, put the bass, actually is in the minus 36 dBs. 37 dBs, yeah, around there. And Spectrum Analyzer is a really good tool to use it, because here's actually my kick going around minus 12 dBs, and actually tells you at what in the MIDI piano it tells you your where it's hitting on the notes as of this. This is basically going up depending on where it is at, the sound, minus 18 dBs. And actually what you're going to do is, just use this as a reference, but reference with the EQ8, because as I'm going to show you an example. So basically, and looking at the multi-band dynamics, I'm not getting any sounds on the low ends here. So you basically you're not going to hear nothing below the 50 hertz. Maybe on the 60, 50 hertz is around here. So you actually see how it's bumping up a little bit. You can bump it up over here more by doing this. See? It just bumped up a little bit more. And this is just by looking at the spectrum analyzer. It has bump up right here, and looking at the multi-dynamic band as well. And now to look at it overall on the final mix. So there's a little neat way of using the spectrum analyzer by using the EQ8 as subtracting, adding, putting sound, and using the multi-band dynamics. But now what I'm going to explain is that this is in the mastering channel right now. What the mastering house want is that you don't put none of these effects on as well. When you're going to send them rough sound from like each individual instrument from here, they want rough sounds. And if you want to send them a reference, here's a sound of how it is roughly without the effects. See how they're peeking out over here? Well, what you want to do is bring them down the sound here as well. You don't want them peeking out here because you don't want them to have distortion. You can either bring this volume down a little bit right there, but when you put the effects, you see there's a difference. This is just to, like, if you want to render the whole song as for them to have a reference, but what they want is send them a reference and an individual each instrument sound going on, so they can like place it in their own little, in their system, and they can like start mastering out what you want as a reference. So sorry about that, guys. And this is a neat little tool that no one basically use, which I use a lot, just to like specifically bring out the sound of each individual instrument that I put in my tracks and mix them up while I have it all arranged. Have a good one, take care, peace, and subscribe.